A sad day for free speech as the Supreme Court rules in favor of the Biden administration, allowing the far left to continue to collude with big tech to censor free speech online.
But the ruling was far from unanimous, with conservative Justice Samuel Alito writing in part, quote, in his dissent, "The country may come to regret the majority ruling in this case."
Join us now, author of A Mission Without Borders and Mighty Oaks Foundation founder Chad Robichaux, along with political commentator and Iraq War veteran Rob Smith. Gentlemen, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Chad, I want to get your take on this. I'm so disappointed in this decision. I'm not on the Supreme Court, but I couldn't have thought there was a more clear case that if you can't have a dialogue with the American people on social media, you really don't have a dialogue. You really don't have free speech.
I'm not only disappointed, I'm actually shocked the Supreme Court would go this way. I can remember in 2020, I was the Veterans Policy Surrogate on the Trump campaign, and they shut down my social media account. I had 12 million reaches per month, and they shut me down all the way until March 2nd. March 2nd, ironically, everybody's account was turned back on from the Trump administration. This is right in time for the election, and it will impact the presidential election.
Rob, Dr. Jay Bhattacharya was one of the plaintiffs in this case.
Yes.
And he said they did not decide this case on the merits. They just said there's a lack of standing to essentially sue the federal government. And Dr. Jay said the lack of standing essentially means SCOTUS says you don't have a First Amendment in the United States. No one has standing to sue if all the government does is say these ideas can't be discussed on social media. No one has standing to sue and say the government doesn't have the right to do that. That means the First Amendment is effectively unenforceable unless the government essentially says you, Rob Smith, can't say that.
Yeah.
You, Sean Duffy, can't say that. It's astonishing that they would rule this way.
No. So, look, it's a chilling day for the First Amendment, but I want to get back to what the Biden administration said. They basically said that we should be able to censor these social media companies because it was a quote-unquote public health emergency, right? Like, that's the scariest thing, because they can make pretty much anything that they want to make a public health emergency and use that to censor people on social media. And I think that I'm probably the only one on the set right here that's TikToking every day. So look, I'm TikToking, I'm YouTubing, I'm on Instagram, I'm everywhere. And it's really dangerous to basically give the federal government, whether it's a Democrat or Republican run government, basically free reign to say what you can or cannot say on social media. It's very dangerous.
Well, if Trump tries to censor liberals with Facebook, they're not going to do it because they're liberals themselves. Thank God for Elon Musk buying Twitter. It's at least a more free speech platform, which I'm sure he's not going to play the government game as one of the richest guys or richest guys.
Yeah, and Twitter is the only place for unfettered free speech on the internet. I say that as somebody that is everywhere and has been everywhere for a really long time. That's it.
But today, the Supreme Court in 6-3 murdered the First Amendment as we know it.
Absolutely.
Period.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go on to this. Biden's Surgeon General has declared a new public health crisis, not its depression or obesity, it's gun violence. And he wants weapons to have warning labels on them like cigarettes. Again, Chad, this is interesting. Their war against the Second Amendment and our right to bear arms is not going to end, and they'll use every tool in the toolbook, like the Surgeon General, to go after our Second Amendment rights.
I'm a patriot. I love our Second Amendment. I'm a brand ambassador for Smith & Wesson Firearms. I believe every American.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are, Chad Robichaux.
We should be able to defend ourselves. And if they really cared about the health and safety of people, they would be in Detroit and here in New York and L.A. and getting the guns out of the hands of criminals, not going after law-abiding patriots in this country.
Rob, how will they use this to expand their power over who has the right to bear arms?
Well, this is the thing. Like, it's one of the things that I was just saying about the last thing that we talked about. When the federal government, like I said, again, Democrat or Republican, when the federal government says that something is a public health issue, then that gives them the license to do lots of things that infringe on the First and Second Amendment rights of Americans in the name of public health. So this is hyper-political, super partisan. And the one thing that I have to say is that if conservatives and Republicans played politics as hardcore as Democrats did, then, man, they get a lot more done, because this is straight up politics and it's shameless.
And it's also in the schools. So as they've talked about climate change in schools for the last 30 years, they're also talking about the issues around gun violence. And they're prepping these kids to be little activists or anti-Second Amendment activists when they become of age. So, again, you're right, Rob, they don't stop. Rob and Chad, thank you guys for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
The mark of tyranny, taking away your right to bear arms and defend yourself.
No doubt.
Coming up, add it to the long list of Joe Biden's